Hey, so this video you need to have the paper that we got in class, Algebraic Properties. I'm going to ask you to read this first section. Just take a second to read it, so pause the video and do that. And then let's talk about these properties. So, commutative property of addition. So that just means basically that when you have an addition problem, it doesn't matter which order the numbers are in, it means the same. So it gives the example 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. Absolutely. So this is the property that says that's all good. Commutative property of multiplication, very similar. It doesn't matter which order you do the multiplication in, it gives you the same answer. So 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. Associative means that you can do like A plus B first and then add C in, and that's the same as adding B plus C and then adding A in. So again, it's kind of like the order thing. 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 1, 6. That's the same as if you did 3 plus 1 first and then added 2, it gives you the same stuff. So that's associative. So I remember the difference of these because associative is who you associate with first. So they associate over here first, but it's okay that they could have associated over here first. So like, I think about like people who I hang out with, associative. So like these two are hanging out first. Same thing with multiplication. You can multiply the first two numbers first and then by the third one. It's going to give you the same thing as if you had multiplied the last two and then the first one at the end. So it gives you a real life example to prove it. Last one is distributive property. This is one that we talked about in bell work and we've done a little bit, but basically in order to distribute the A through the entire set of parentheses, or in order, what I would say, to get rid of the parentheses or expand, remove the parentheses, we have to multiply it all the way through. So A times B plus C is the same as A plus B, or A times B plus A times C. I actually think it's easier to see in the actual number problem. So this is the same as 2 times x plus 2 times 5. Because we associate this through. Remember I told you it's kind of like a rainbow. We have to distribute it through. So we are going to, we're going to talk about these properties and we're going to fill this stuff in together. So the distributive property is used to expand groups of and remove parentheses from expressions. The commutative property is used to change the order of numbers so that like terms are together. And then the associative property is used to associate or group like terms. So we're going to do some examples. So we are going to simplify, and you see this word simplify, there's no way we can actually solve this because there's no equal sign. So we are just going to simplify this, and we're going to go through the different properties to do that. Distributive, remember that has to do with getting rid of the parentheses, so that's where my little rainbows come in. So I would do 3 times x, and then 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Now I'm going to do negative 2, because this negative goes with that, so negative 2 times 8, and negative 2 times negative x is a positive 2x. So now, commutative, so I need to move things around so that the things that are kind of alike are closer together. So I'm just going to box in my x's here. I have 3x and then I have a positive 2x. So I'm going to move the 3x plus 2x to be kind of close to each other. Now I have negative 12 minus 16. Alright, so now I have over here I have the x's, over here I have the numbers. Associative means I can lump these together, and then I can plus negative 12 minus 16, I can lump those together. Because since we're just adding numbers basically, it doesn't matter which order we go in, so we're just deciding we're going to do these and these. So we're basically about to combine like terms. So then I have 3x plus 2x is 5x. Negative 12 minus 16 is negative 28. So that is me simplifying. So I went from this kind of ugly thing to this. Next page, we're going to do a little bit more examples. We're actually going to skip this top one for now, just for sake of time, and we're going to look at some of these here on 3. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the parentheses by using the distributive property. So this is distributive property. 5 times 2a is 10a. 5 times positive b is positive 5b. Negative 2, because remember that minus here goes with it. Negative 2 times positive 3a is negative 6a. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10b. So now I have done the distributive property. I'm going to do commutative property now, so I'm going to move things around so that the a's are by each other. So I have this a and this a. See how I boxed in the negative there? Then I have this b and this b. So 10a minus 6a plus 5b plus 10b. So I didn't actually do anything but reorder these a little bit. Now we're going to do associative, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that we add these together first. So 10a minus 6a, we're going to do 4a plus 15b. So basically this just helps us combine like terms. We'll do maybe one more example of this, so we'll skip the b and d. So first thing we're going to do is distributive property, because we need to get rid of those parentheses. So positive 3 times positive 2 is 6x. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. 6 times 10x is positive 60x. And 6 times 5 is positive 30. So now we're going to do commutative. So we have this 6x. We have positive 60x. So 6x plus 60x. Then I have negative 21 plus 30. So I'm going to combine the like terms. So I have 66x, and then negative 21 plus 30 is positive 9. So we can, just a little reminder, we can only add x's with x's and numbers with numbers because these are alike, so these are like terms. These are alike, these are like terms. So that should be a terminology that you've heard before. We're going to go down now to 4a. Now we're going to, we got to read these instructions, evaluate the expressions. These are called expressions because there's no equal sign. So you'll notice here, these are the values that they gave us, the given values, and this in front is the expression we're going to put those numbers into. So there's 2 ways to do it. I'm going to do one way on A and a different way on C. So the first way we can do it is we're going to rewrite the problem, but everywhere we see an A, we're going to replace it with a 3 because that's what it told us to do. So this would be 3 times 3 plus, now everywhere there's a B, we're going to replace it with a negative 2. Okay, so then I have minus, well here's an A, so we're going to put a 3, minus 3, here's a B, so we're going to put times negative 2. Because you see this next to each other means multiply, that's why these two have to be multiplied. This next to each other means multiply, so these two have to be multiplied. So now we're just going to simplify this. So we know order of operations I have to do inside the parentheses first, And then inside the parentheses, I have to actually do the multiplication first. So 2 times 3 times 3 is 9 plus negative 2. And then I'm just going to bring down the rest, minus 3. So what's negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. So now 9 plus negative 2 is the same thing as saying 9 minus 2, which is 7. This 2 right next to this parentheses, and then the 7 inside, I'll just rewrite it. 2 times 7 minus 3 plus 6. This 2 next to each other means to multiply, so sorry, I'm running out of room. It would be 14 minus 3 plus 6 is 9. And then 14 minus 9 is 5. So when we evaluated, we get 5. So that's the first way to do it. The second way to do it is to actually simplify the expression first, like we did on those first few examples, the first page and then 3A and 3C. So we're going to simplify it first and then plug in the numbers. So I would do my distributive property first. So 3.5 times 2 is 7p. This is going to be a negative because 3.5 times negative 8 is going to be negative 28q. See how I made my q have a curly q so it looks like a q and not a 9? Plus 6 times 2.5 is 15p. Plus 6 times 5 is 30q. There's my curly q. So now I have p's and q's. So I'm going to put my p's together and my q's together. And then I can go ahead and combine my like terms. So 7 plus 15 is 22p. And then negative 28 plus 30 is plus 2q. So now I have it simplified. All I have to do now is use the values they told me to and substitute those in. So it would be 22 times negative 1 plus 2 times 3. 22 times negative 1, sorry I ran out of room, is going to be negative 22 plus 2 times 3 is 6. So 22 plus 6. So this is one of those integer situations where we actually have different signs, so we need to actually subtract these. So you would do 22 minus 6, but since the 22 is bigger, my answer is going to be negative. So it's going to be negative 16. So the two ways down here, you don't have to write it out to explain it, but I just showed you those two ways. The first way is to just substitute the values first and then solve, like simplify it. The second way is to simplify first and then put in those values they gave us. I personally like the second way better, but it's up to you however you want to do it. They both work. Alright, you don't have to finish the next page, so just bring all this to class tomorrow and I'll see you in class.